Can you actually climb Dragonspine in real life? You can get 100% in Dragonspine with total regionless behavior. But how does Dragonspine hold up to actual real life mountains? Before anything else, I wanted to measure how tall is Dragonspine. Now, a quick note here. I'm measuring the height we need to climb and not the height from the sea. All the mountain heights you see in real life are altitudes or distance from the sea level. Now let's get measuring. But there was a small problem first. Genshin Impact doesn't provide official height for any of its model, so I had to think of an idea. The first thing that came into my mind was distance. Whenever you navigate to a quest, the game tells you how far away you are from the quest point. The distance you are given is the shortest distance or the hypotenuse. If you are on the same y level as a quest point, you can get the base, and using Pythagoras theorem, you can find height of any object. Or so I thought. Look, now obviously, I knew I couldn't measure the height of Dragonspine based on this, as there is no quest point in the exact base of Dragonspine. My idea was to use this approach to measure height of any other object and then find the gravity of Tevyat, and use it to find the height of Dragonspine. Now, first of all, making an exact right angle triangle would be hard, as there are limited options. That didn't bother me at first because I thought we could just bypass it by calculating the angle and using trigonometry. But there was one huge issue. Since the game is in 3D, depending upon where I observed the triangle from, it had different angles. So angle measuring was totally off the charts. I had to think of another idea. The most accurate method would be to somehow place myself above a quest point. I looked at all my world quests and there was not a single quest where I could place myself directly over a quest point's head. So now, I was stuck again on what to do. You can live your whole life not realizing that what you are looking for is right in front of you. David Nicholas. The method I would use was right in front of me. It was in my Genshin party. The answer was Zhongli. I realized that I could just climb something near a quest point, place Zhongli's pillar and stand right above the quest point. If you go to a quest point and jump a little bit, you can see that the game increases the distance. This tells us that the distance shown is the distance between your feet and the NPC's feet. So, if you fall down from Zhongli's pillar, you can get the time it takes to fall down from a certain height, and then you can find the value of acceleration due to gravity. So now, it was time for testing. I put both my game and OBS settings to 30 FPS, screen refresh rate to 60 Hz, and got to measuring. I found 4 quests from which I could measure the fall time. The result was 8 meter took 27 frames to fall, 6 meter took 24 frames, 4 meter took 19 frames, and 14 meter took 36 frames. Now, a thing to note here is, in some cases, there was not a clear indicator on which the starting frame was among 2 frames. So, I calculated the gravity on both coastal frames and used the one that matched result from the other heights. Combine that with the fact that Genshin only gives integer value of the distance, meaning 13 meter can be anywhere between 13.1 meter and 13.9 meter. We have few sources of error in this calculation. So, the value of acceleration due to gravity is not exact but approximate. But having said all that, our results will still get the job done. Now, let's go into calculation. We will calculate gravity by using the formula G equals to h upon t squared, where G is the gravity, h is the height from which we fall, and t is the time taken for us to fall from the height. The game already shows us the value of h, so all we need is the value of t. Now, think back to the frames table. It shows us how much frames it took us to fall from certain height, and since the game is played and recorded at 30 FPS, we can get t by dividing our frame count by 30, and after substituting t into the formula, we can get the value of gravity of Tevyat. By using this formula, I calculated gravity on all those 4 cases, and for this video purposes, we will take the average, which we can get by summing up all the values and dividing it by 4. Before I use the calculated 19.47 meter per second squared gravity of Tevyat, which is more than double of Earth's 9.8 meter per second squared by the way, I want to request you to subscribe to this channel. This video is a new series where I connect Genshin with real life science and other real life stuff. I plan to do more of this soon, and you can also tell me what other videos you want to see in the comments, or if you want me to more accurately measure the gravity and dedicate an entire video to it. For me, a single comment is worth more than 10 likes, so I would really appreciate if you subscribed and commented. So to measure the height, I jumped up from the top of Dragonspine. Because of the terrain of Dragonspine, I can jump straight down from top to bottom. Now, you might think that it's bad, but it's actually good. If I jumped straight down from top to bottom, due to air resistance and other factors, our player might reach terminal velocity, which stops the player acceleration, and after a certain time, our player begins to fall in uniform velocity. Now don't worry if you don't understand these fancy terms. To put it in Rager's language, long jump equals to more air resistance equals to mistake calculation. So our jumps are divided into several different parts. So I jumped from Dragonspine, put the clip in editing software and separated in different fall segments. From these different segments, I need to calculate the height on all segments and sum them up. I basically have two options on how to do that. 1. Calculate it manually, or 2. Write some code to do it faster. So as a sane person, I choose option number 3. Let ChatGPT do all the calculation. So after all the calculation, the height of Dragonspine came out to be 798.778 meter. To compare it to real life counterpart, the height from Everest base camp to its peak is 3485 meters. So Dragonspine pales in comparison to it. We are not even considering the fact that getting to Everest base camp is far more harder than getting to Dragonspine base. This side gives us a difficulty measure of one more thing, but I will come back to it later. One more another factor that determines how hard a mountain climb is its terrain. In Genshin, we have things like wind glider, cater abilities, wind bursts. We would have none of it in real life. Now, I was going to develop a route which a normal person could climb, but I found a YouTube video which already does most of that. So, a quick shout out to Catfish Blue Hat. I am going to use this route from How Adventurers Get to Dragonspine Peak. Here is a sped up version of his route. Now, there are two places where I need to change this route. First, when he uses a wind burst to get out of the cave, and second, when he uses a wind glider to get near the peak. For the first case, we can just climb this rock. Since mountaineers have climbing equipment, I am using Kachina's skill to show this and not a random character. And for the second place, instead of using wind glider, we can just climb the mountain we were climbing normally, though it will take some time. So it's pretty clear that the terrain you take to get to Dragonspine Peak is easy AF. You literally have a built out path 75% of the way and then a small climb. I won't even bother telling you how hard Everest terrain is compared to this. You all can just imagine on your own. Now, one more factor that comes in mountain climbing is temperature. This one is hard to compare with real life. You get sheer cold effect when you are in Dragonspine, and when the bar fills up, you start taking damage. You most probably won't die from temperature alone in Everest that fast. Emphasis on the words alone and that fast. But then again, you can get rid of sheer cold effect by standing next to a very small fire source, which also won't happen in real life. You get cold fast, but get warmer even faster in Dragonspine. So, the characters in Genshin definitely have weird temperature sensation, and we can't convert that into real life. In real life, mountaineers don't use a fire source, they use something much more efficient, warm and thick clothes. Instead of neutralizing cold with hot, they prevent cold from entering their body. So with all these factors, I would assume that real humans can climb Dragonspine with warm clothes and protective gears, albeit with more difficulty. So in this factor, I would give both Dragonspine and Everest equal points. Now, remember that I told you that height will affect one more factor in mountain climbing. My height calculation was from the base to peak, but real mountain heights are calculated from the sea level. It's called the altitude. Altitude is one of the most important factors in mountain climbing. When you go from a lower altitude to a higher altitude, the oxygen level decreases significantly. So, you would need oxygen mask and other stuff in mountain climbing. Now, I couldn't find a way to measure the altitude of Dragonspine, but I don't think we have to as well. It's pretty obvious that Dragonspine is not in a much high altitude area. Just look at Windvale Highland. It is at a little higher altitude than Dragonspine base, yet people have no trouble standing around there. A little child named Joel is standing there searching for his father, with no trouble of breathing. So, with all these factors combined, it's pretty clear that Dragonspine pales in comparison to Everest. Climbing Everest is way harder than climbing Dragonspine. Now, the interesting thing is, Everest isn't even the hardest mountain to climb. Mountains like K2 and Kanchenjunga are considered more difficult to climb than Everest. Yet, mankind has reached the peak of all three of these mountains. Dragonspine is a toddler compared to these real life mountains. Now, this video took me more than a month to make, so I would really appreciate if you guys subscribed. I plan to do more of these real life Genshin videos and turn my channel into it, so follow me along the journey. Also, I am trying to see if I can revive a dead video, so watch this video where I terribly explain every Genshin scatter lore in 10 words or less. See you in the next video. Till then, I am signing off.